Yeah, but just like I've seen Coming to America or whatever, I never saw E.T. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I feel like if I mean, sometimes I say stuff just to make white people feel, like I love saying who when they be like, Meryl Streep. I'll be like, who?
Never heard of it.
The government growing babies, microchips in your anus. All koala bears are racist. The ozone layer owes me money. Martians invented turkey stuffing. Y'all can't tell me nothing.
Yep. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another phenomenal episode of My Mama Told Me, the podcast where we dive deep into the pockets of Black conspiracy theories, and we finally work to prove that Miss Sita from Sita's World can still get it. It don't matter that booty is in 16-bit, it's still a booty worth celebrating. Square Mario Kart booties need love too, and I'm just the man to give it to them. That is something that I believe, ladies and gentlemen at home, and it's a fact that I'm spreading out in the world. I'm your host, Langston Kerman, as always. What a pleasure to be back with you. We've taken quite a fucking hiatus. I don't usually leave y'all for very long, but I left you and I apologize, but I'm back, baby, and I'm as fucked up as ever. I'm as sick and twisted as you remember. And listen, my guest today, she is not fucked up. She is, I'd say she's a good person, and more importantly, a very funny person, an exceptionally funny individual, so talented. You know her from amazing shit. She's been on All Deaf Comedy. She's hilarious. She has a show. It's in its second season on Amazon. It's called Upload. Y'all need to be watching that shit. Please give it up for my guest, Miss Zainab Johnson.
Hey, Langston.
Yeah.
Hey, was I supposed to wait?
I don't know. Whenever you were ready.
We never know. We never know.
They're not real people. I'm just pressing a button.
But you know how some people are so like OCD? It's like, let's run that back. Let me do that again.
Oh, no, I don't give a shit. I just fumble through this every time we do it. Okay. So, I'm happy. I'm just happy you're here.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you came with a conspiracy theory that, I'll be honest, it's a challenging one, I'd say. It's one that will challenge all of us, both listeners and podcasters alike. We are all going to be challenged by your conspiracy theory, and I won't waste any more time. You said, my mama told me.
Be careful. You can lose your black card.
Tell me more.
Since the dawn of time.
In the beginning.
I mean, yeah, we've all heard it. We've all made that classic mistake where you didn't say something right. You aren't familiar with whatever is in Black culture, something that is cemented, something that they feel like. Black people feel like whoever the Black people, you know how we say like Black Twitter? It's like, I don't know who specifically Black Twitter is, but when they decide something, it has been decided. Yes. And if for some reason you drop the ball, you lose your Black card, which essentially means you lose credit. Yeah. You no longer are credited with being a Black person, which is crazy. But it happens, and we care about it.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, and you're already diving in, and I love this. Your energy, I feel your intensity is emanating through the screen. But you said that it's crazy, and I'm curious to know more. Do you in fact think it's like crazy in a wrong way, or just crazy in a like, whoa, that's wild kind of way?
I think it depends on the day, Langston, because I've been on both sides.
Right.
I've lost the Black card a few times.
Yeah.
I imagine there may come a time in this episode where you decide to revoke it or your listeners. I'm sure. But I've also been on the other side where I'm like, you really don't know. Oh, no. Run me that. Yeah. Run me that Black card. Very rarely though. I'm never on the because I'm so often on the side that loses it. But I think that it's wild because where did it come from?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And this, I think like in Black culture, there's always been this thing about like, you ain't Black enough, or you ain't
Yeah.
being Black, or you ain't being the right type of Black. You know, it's like
Right.
there's always been that thing. And I wonder, like, did we do that to ourselves? And the Black card is just like one part of that,
Sure.
you know?
Well, let me address a few things. First of all, you should in no way fear the possibility that you will lose your Black card because of me. Who who am I, as light as I am, to be taking the Black card away from a lady named Zainab Johnston? You know what I mean? Like, I ain't
Well,
got no business doing nothing.
but you know what? The Black card ain't even got to do with what you look like or with your
Right.
name. You know, they
Sure.
might take a Black card away from you, but I've lost a Black card because my name is Zainab. So sounding so ethnic for me to not. That's all the more reason.
Whoa. Right. That like, and that's what makes it so complicated, right? Is that it does become, if I can, I hate even making this like a more like intellectual conversation, but it is sort of like we standardize these small pockets of community and we say this is a representation of all Blackness, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then that community is not communicating with another Black community that set itself up. And so those Black communities start to jet against each other, where it's like, nah, the Black people of this section of the country don't believe this is what Black people do. And then you move to Ohio or New York or whatever the fuck it is. And suddenly they're like, yeah, we do that. And they're like, nigga, you ain't real. You ain't Black. I'm taking your Black card.
And it often is with things that really don't matter. Like I'll reveal something that in the past couple of years, like my Black boyfriend, I think he reevaluated the relationship with me when it was revealed. I can't tell you an Anita Baker song.
Oh man. All right.
I wouldn't know it was Anita Baker if she was standing next to me in Trader Joe's. I wouldn't even know. If people was like, if she came up to me and was like, hey, I'm Anita, I would not be like, oh, Baker. No.
Right.
I would be like, I met this lovely woman named Anita. who told me she's doing a show tonight. And,
I assume she's some sort of lounge singer, but yeah.
I mean, I would be like, maybe she saw my comedy.
I met this lady named Anita. She's a big fan of me. But that's, to your point, that is a crazy thing, right? That like you have spent your entire life as a Black woman living around Black people, experiencing Black things, and then suddenly you express to a person who you are intimate with, who you share everything with, this vulnerability in some sense, and then they go, everything you've stood for up to this point has lost a level of value. That's crazy.
Yeah, but see, Langston, even you see how 5 minutes ago you was like, "There's no way I could."
Yeah.
Do it. But then your reaction, the way it's like your reaction was like, "Oh, oh, oh."
Listen. I again, I'm not taking it away, but I did wince. There was a slight twin. You know what I mean? Just a little tink at the sound of not knowing any Anita Baker.
I couldn't tell you one.
I apologize. Come on, dog.
If you sing it, maybe I like. But you saying that, I have if you said to me right now, Beyonce "Single Ladies," I would be able to say, "Oh, am I single lady?" Right?
Yeah.
Or if you said, I don't know, Michael Jackson, "Remember the Time," I would be able to be like, "Do you?" What was the title? I can't even remember the title. You just said it.
And listen, I'm not gonna force it down your throat. I understand. I am saying, maybe, when you get off, you just write this down. I apologize. It's a great song by Anita Baker. Okay. And she likes us streaming her music now again. She was very upset.
But that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I was going to say, but I know at one point she didn't want nobody streaming her music, but that's because I listen to the news and I listen to like things that I want to know. Like I listen to like lawyers a lot. And sometimes, so I'm like, here's this Anita woman again.
Yeah. I will say, if you're aware of the fact that you're not supposed to be streaming Anita Baker's music, or you weren't supposed to be, then you're still supporting Black women, and that's nice. You're still doing the right business, even if your boyfriend is taking the card away for it somehow.
Ex-boyfriend.
Ex-boyfriend. All right, well, fuck him then. He's dead to us here at the podcast. Okay, so you do see a level of craziness in the way that we sort of like handle these things. Let me ask this. Have you ever been on the side of taking, or at least wanting to take, someone's Black card away from them, or demanding that someone should lose their Black card because of their behavior?
Yes, but only in jest. I think that it's
Mhm.
actually crazy, like in the ludicrous way, like what's happening when someone is really adamant, like when they're really serious, like when
Yeah.
when it almost becomes like bullying.
Yep.
When it's like
Mhm.
that, then I'm like, well, why don't you like the reaction you had to me about Anita Baker, if anybody was born in like the mid to late the 80s, 90s, and maybe like early 2000s, if you have, before the new Coming to America came out, if you hadn't seen Coming to America, because that is such a staple in
Yep.
my upbringing, I might be like, "Rick, you ain't seen Coming to America, Five Heartbeats, what, like, like all of these things that were like, this is the reason why we went to the movies when I was younger, If you
Yeah.
haven't experienced that, then I'm going to be like, oh, girl, we might need to take your Black card, right?
I was like this. 5 Heartbeats. You were
haven't seen
vulnerable
it?
with me. I'll be vulnerable with you. Never seen it. Never went down that train.
So now here's another level of the Black card, right?
Yep.
They might not take they might not take your Black card, but then here's the follow-up question. Do you have any desire to see it?
I'll say this. I have always had a desire to see it, but I've also always felt a weird Venn diagram existed between what I knew of it and the Temptations movie. Just with having Leon and Bo, you know what I mean? Like it had enough of a Venn diagram where it's like, nah, I get it. I know what the fuck this is. And I never ventured beyond that instinct.
Yeah. Well, you know why they made the Temptations movie?
I don't. Tell me.
Because Five Heartbeats was so good. Everybody thought Five Heartbeats was a real group.
Oh.
But Five Heartbeats was based on not one specific group, but an amalgamation of those types of groups.
Got you.
And Robert Townsend felt like nobody's telling the stories of these, soul, R&B soul groups. And so he told a fictionalized version of a collection of them, and got this one group to do like the vocals and everything. And it became such a hit after the box. So it's like a Black culture classic, right? Then
see how you shaming me? Look how you doing.
Well,
it's a Black
I'm teaching
culture classic.
All that behavior, I had none of that. Do they get to see
you got
this
all close to the
podcast?
microphone. Black culture classic. Like, come on, relax. I get it.
Somebody cue up Anita. But it was so popular, they was like, VH1 was like, well, we should probably make a Temptations movie.
Right.
And I do think you're absolutely right with the Venn diagram. I do think that there is something weird. Like, if you are a huge fan of the Five Heartbeats, you watch the Temptation movie and you enjoy it, but you don't love it the way you don't love it. You know what I'm saying?
I'll say that in my ignorance, I always presumed that the Temptations movie came first.
No.
And so for me, it just looked like, oh, Robert Townsend like did his own Temptations movie and I'm good. I'll see it if I see it, but I'm never gonna like hunt this down. But now that I know, I'm gonna put a little more effort into it.
You should go see it. This is not a podcast about me telling you what to see, but because even the making of it. But see, you see this intensity that I have. I'm not going to follow it up with like, so now you don't have a Black card. But that's that's the passion behind why a Black person would revoke someone else's Black card.
Right.
But it's a genuine passion.
Yeah.
It just gets a little bit crazy.
I agree. I think and you made a point as you were sort of going through a lot of this about the generational quality that exists in this, right? That like Coming to America, for example, is such a staple in in my Black life, your Black life, a lot of Black lives. But if I talk to somebody that's younger than us, that sort of is born in the aughts and like very much a person of like this new generation, they might not value coming to America in the same way. And so for us to then go, you ain't Black, I think creates like a weird sort of like, bumping, a bumping against each other. Cause like, how the fuck would they know? They weren't around for Eddie Murphy when he was really Eddie Murphy. They got Eddie Murphy when he was putting on like reggae hats and playing guitar.
And they may have seen Coming to America too. That might be their first introduction to it. And, you know, I work with Amazon at this point, so I'm going to, you know, but you know, it ain't what you want to start with.
No, hey, we're all out here doing our best, but it ain't the original, and I think we can all agree on that.
Yes, but there's also like there's this other side of being a Black identity, right? That is so serious, right? That thing where there's so much isms attached to being Black, and there's so much trauma attached to Black identity and the appearance of Blackness, right?
Yeah.
And so to then disqualify somebody who may be dealing with the real ramifications of being a Black person in America, but also in this world, dealing with that, to then say, well, you don't speak a certain way, or you haven't had the same experiences as me. You're not tapped into the culture in the same way that I am. And so therefore, no, you're not Black. That's a really toxic conversation.
Yeah, and I do think that is where some of this sort of like gets into a very sticky trap, right? Is you are isolating people from a community that they very much identify with, largely in that they cannot unidentify with it, right? Like you can't stop being Black in America, even the most like the people who we label the cooniest coons, you know what I mean? Like are still in some ways like they're Black. They have to be. It is inescapable for them. And so to then be like, yo, you can't kick it with us. Like they don't stop existing. They're just now feeling isolated and also, you know, dealing with whatever, like you said, the ramifications of trauma and the white man's trickery on the other side of it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this last question before we go to break, because I'm enjoying where this side of the train is going. Do you feel like then there are people who, I guess, would celebrate the idea of the Black card being revoked? Like if you look at a Candace Owens, for example, like is she cheering at the idea of her, you know, Black card being taken away from her or losing her Black card? Is a Terry Crews pumping his arms and being like, fuck yeah, take it away, I don't need that shit? Or is it more complicated than that?
I think it's definitely more complicated, more nuanced than that. I think that you would find somebody like Terry Crews maybe saying something like that in jest. I think that a Candace Owens doesn't have the humor capacity to, you know, like we'd be like, I don't need, you know, like, thank God you guys took my Black. That was the last thing I was holding on to. Thank you for you know. But I do think that there are people that exist that are Black that might take on the pride of not being identified as Black. And this is not so much a visual thing, but it's a behavioral thing, you know, in a social status thing. But they wouldn't do it in front of other Black people.
Oh, that's interesting.
You know, that's like something that you say, hey, are you watching Bel Air?
Am I personally?
Yeah.
Oh, you putting pressure on me. You represent Amazon, I represent Peacock. Yeah, I love Bel Air. My favorite show. Can't get enough of it. Give me that Will Smith boy.
Well, then Langston, you know that scene that you know oh so well.
You know I know it, but go ahead and describe it anyway for our listeners, not me.
The character Carlton, the new vision of Carlton, he's in a locker room with his prep school buddies, and they're all white guys, and they're singing a rap song. And the white guy is saying like N-word, 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 you know? And that type of, I could see that sort of character feeling like in that space, it's okay because nobody knows. But the moment Will's character is now in a space, now there's conflict because there's a witness to this.
Right.
There's somebody else that's opposing it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because you're suggesting that there is so much of our Black identity is related around community. That like without the community, what is Blackness? Right? It is something that we can easily, theoretically at least, abandon were it not for a bunch of white people being, ridiculously violent and angry towards us. But like, we could abandon the Blackness if it weren't for the fact that other Black people are nearby. And then we got to be like, shit, I gotta be Black all the time. And with this other person. And so it becomes a bit of a catch-22 in a way, right? Because it's like, that is both beautiful, because then that's how we connect to each other. That's how we relate. That's how we identify. But then it also seems hindering, where it's like, oh fuck, I gotta perform as a community member at all times instead of as a singular person. Oh shit, this is heavy before break. We try to go to break on some laugh lines and shit, and you were like, nah, I'm about to hit you with some wisdom, motherfucker.
Well, here's a joke I was trying to tell. You know, they was trying to get Ellen up out of here, right? And I'm like, nah, I was like, Ellen can't leave before I dance on her show, right? And I'm like, but I've been practicing my Ellen dance because I got to dance well enough so Black people know that I can dance.
Right.
But not too good where they like, look at her doing too much for the white lady.
Yo.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like that was even deeper, but I made you laugh. You go to commercial now.
No, I'll decide when we go to commercial. How dare you? But I will say that's a good fucking point, because it's a sticky situation, because you go out there and you do too many moves that look like you rehearsed, and like, look at this nigga tap dancing.
Yeah, exactly.
For the white devil. And it's like, no, you got to just stay in your pocket. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But all right, well, we're going to get you on Ellen with this episode, in fact. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more Zainab Johnson and more My Mama Told Me. And we are back.
Do you have your passport? Did you get your shots? Girl, would you like to come back with Rob to America? America.
Yeah, we're back here with more Zainab Johnson, more My Mama Told Me.
I ain't heard R. Kelly in so long.
And I like to throw him in every once in a while, see what it does for the listeners.
I ain't heard R. Kelly. And what's crazy is I'm like, oh, I know this. Oh, but I ain't supposed.
No.
Right?
Also, it's literally the most predatory thing he's ever done, at least in a public space, of begging a bunch of foreign women to come back and get their shots first, obviously, and then come back to America to be his captive.
And this was he was already...
Oh,
he was like on parole. He was like on probation. Like
my man did not give a fuck.
Or out on bail. He was like, I'm gonna do me.
He's like, nah, I can still get a captive with you. This can still work. Let me dig into this research with you, because I like I said, because the Black card itself is more of a euphemism than it is a real thing. There is no actual Black card. It obviously is a topic that lives more in theory than hard facts, but it got me sort of thinking about like the idea of revoking a Black card, right? And I found the Chicago Tribune article that explored this author's complicated relationship with their Black card, or at least with the way that the Black card is sort of treated out in society. And one of the things that they said was complicated is this constant response, and it feels like a very new response that comes from white people, in saying how sort of like unfair or racist it is that Black people are able to utilize and or even refer to a Black card, because the same would not be true for a white person, that there is no white card. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
White people are crazy. White people are crazy. Hey, there are no black people. I'm about to say some real stereotypical things, but there are no black people. Like it ain't even fair that they putting cranberries in a potato salad. Like
Right.
we're not over here looking across the fence saying it's like you actually can do that. That's not up to us.
Yeah. If y'all want white cards, you can have white cards.
Yeah, you can have white cards, but just know if you say now give you losing your white card, it just feels different. It feels different. It sounds different. It feels different. But you know what it is? I actually know what it is. It's because at the end of the day, Black culture is the essence of everything, you know, and we're able to make everything so cool. Even in our instead of saying, "Oh, you ain't seen this thing that I seen. You ain't had the same." Instead of saying that, we say, "Run me your black card."
Yeah.
We make everything so cool, but then if you actually think about it, and I'm getting real hoteppy now.
Put the hat on.
You know, if you think about Dr. Zainab Johnson.
She just, for the listeners at home, Zainab just pulled out an onk and she's going to town. Go ahead.
She lit an incense. You know, when you think about like actual credit and currency, right? What's the highest level of credit you can have when people feel really, really it's a black card, right? What's higher than a platinum card, what's higher than a gold card, it's a black card. And the fact that we use that we use that term in a very different way, it's still we're still putting there's a certain like hierarchy to, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, white card sounds whack.
Right. We are beautifying.
Yeah.
Every part of our language, our communication, even as we are taking something away from one of our peers, it is still taking the best of the best away from them, not just some bullshit, to your point, which a white card would be like, I didn't want that shit in the first place.
And ultimately, it's celebratory, right? Because when you are, quote unquote, taking somebody's black card, you're not taking it because you're not like, oh, you ain't killed 5 niggas? Oh, give me right. Ain't nobody saying that. It's like, hold on, there are these things in our history that we want to, and that we always hope will be celebrated. And so the only reason why we're saying we're taking your black card is because if you don't know these things, if you haven't experienced these things, then that means at some point in this history, it'll stop. Yep. And we don't want it to stop. And so really, it's celebratory. And I mean, I think that we have been like the people who have found a way in all of the strife and all of the hardship. We found a way to celebrate everything.
Right.
You know, and so I think in essence, what that person in that article is saying, it's unfair. We don't have a white card. It's like, yeah, and all the shit that y'all have, all the privilege, that the quote unquote privilege that people say that a certain group of people have, y'all don't be celebrating.
Right. Yeah, white parties, they don't even play music. They just sort of stand around and chat with each other.
Listen, even when you said white party, I thought about a whole bunch of black people wearing white.
On Diddy's yacht. No, but I think to your point, it's we don't always have a lot. We're not always sitting on like fucking gold in terms of the resources that we are allotted, but we are sort of finding ourselves in positions where we're creating fun and interesting games and all kinds of cool shit inside of that. And that, I think, to your point, is frustrating for an outsider looking in who goes, well, we took everything from them. Why are these niggas still giggling? Like, why the fuck are they still finding ways to have fun inside of that? And that's frustrating, I imagine, if you wish that we were dead and gone, I guess.
I just, like just on a person to person level, I rarely, and I mean, Langston, with all of our ambitions and goals, and sometimes you find yourself, especially in this business, you find yourself, looking at your peers sometimes who may be moving at a different pace than you, and you may be like, dang, I wanted that thing too, and why did they get this thing or get this opportunity and I didn't? Be outside of that, I ain't never really looking across my neighbor's lawn like, what they over there doing?
Right. Yeah.
So the concept of a person doing that, but then like an entire like race of people doing like what they over there doing.
Yeah.
And why can't we do it? That's like crazy to me.
Sure. No, I think it is. I've never once, to your point, I don't even know what the ladies who live across the street look like. Like I just mind my fucking business to some extent. And the idea that people who are not your neighbors, who are truly, truly just people existing out in the world are causing that much of a distraction to you that you feel like you need to police the way that they speak to each other, the way that they are communicating inside of a smaller world is fucking nuts. There's no other explanation for it.
But we got to help. I mean, I think this is our plight in life. We just got to help. We got to help white people. We got to get white people some cool shit. We got to find out what they white card. You get what I'm saying? We got to get them a white card. We got to get them some white culture so that they got that. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing. We wouldn't care. Like, I swear, if I heard two white women like, what? You don't know who Paris Hilton is?
Yeah.
I'm sorry for the impression.
No, you nailed it.
I don't know why I have. Okay, you don't know who Paris Hilton is? Give me your white card, girl. I would not care.
Nah,
like
that'd be funny to me.
It would give me such a good bit. I would crack up laughing. I would be like, ooh, you know?
Yeah. You in trouble. You in trouble with the whites. Look at this.
Like, I wonder who else they got to know about.
Yeah. Kenny G.
We got to give them a word. We got to give them stuff so that they also feel like we got this cool thing.
Yeah. No, I think that's a very beautiful way to look at their insanity. It's like, yo, y'all could have it too. If you would just stop focusing on us, you truly, and we don't even have the power to police you most of the time. Like even, I have frustrating conversations with our white peers in sort of the comedy industry where they go like, everybody wants diversity now. And I feel like I'm being overlooked or I'm not getting the opportunities. And it's like, bro, I don't think that's fucking true. And even if it is, like, there's still so many pockets that we haven't made it into. Like, even if the threshold is starting to bleed towards wanting Black and brown voices mixed into the whole thing, there's a bunch of shit that just still is wholly, totally white that you can thrive in and will not reject you in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So, go do your thing. Go have fun in your little white space if that's that much of a concern for you.
Yeah. Because I was thinking like, also, then for so long, and I really want to hear what else you found, what other research you found. But it's like for so long, a certain group of people were able to be average or not even, and it's like, so now in order for you to not be overlooked, you have to be a bit more than, and so work on that. That's not actually not my fault. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not our fault.
Yeah.
But now you have work to do because now you can't just show up. You actually have to show up and stand out. Yeah,
this really shifted from 1950s NBA to 99 NBA. You gotta let's play some ball. You know what I mean? This little Bob Cousy shit ain't gonna cut it.
And even still, not really. You know what I'm saying? It's very rare. There's so many billboards that we're doing you a favor. We're being severely empathetic and kind and patient having this conversation.
Yeah.
Why am I being overlooked? Or I wish, we don't have a white card. That shows our compassion.
Right.
But it's like, nigga, come on.
Yeah, we shouldn't even have to entertain this. So this is what it got me thinking about, because as I was reading through this article, he sort of, this author was making a bunch of points about how the Black card itself is not, in fact, racist. And so much of it is just a sort of like response that comes out of, exactly to what your point, the insanity of white people wanting to commodify and take control of Black voices, Black perspectives, all of that shit. But one of the things that I got to thinking about, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on, is a fear that I've been feeling for a while, that maybe we give them too much of our shit. Do you know what I mean? That like sometimes I worry that, especially because of the internet, we're making so many of our Black card shit available for their entertainment that when they take it, we're always baffled and like, how could you, Kim Kardashian, do the things that we do in our spaces? And it's like, yeah, but we told the bitch everything we do, and a goofy motherfucker like that is going to naturally do it. And I'd love to hear where you stand in all of that. Do you feel like we're giving too much away, or is that me shaming ourselves for a thing?
Yeah, I think it's blaming the victim. I think we're just living. The young Black girl that does a dance on TikTok, she just did a dance that day. She fucking heard a song. She was inspired. And she's so gifted that she came up with a fucking dance that got millions of views, and then a bunch of other people do it. So it's not we have to blame the Ellens of the world, who then grab the white kid that co-ops that dance and puts them on the global stage.
Right.
That's not that little girl was just living her life and utilizing a tool put in place for her to live her life. That's it. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, so what am I supposed to do? Not wear cornrows for fear that a Kardashian is going to wear the cornrow? Like, do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, all we're actually doing is living our lives, and in living our lives more and more so boldly and unapologetically, which I think is absolutely beautiful.
I love that.
You know, and I think, but I mean, it goes back to people. Ain't nobody give up rock. Ain't nobody give that up.
Right.
People was playing their hearts, their souls, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, that it is not simply that we handed it over politely to the people who commodified it. They took advantage of a situation. They stole the rights to this type of music or to the songs themselves. And because they were in charge of the radios, they were in charge of all the other things, it became theirs. We didn't hand it over.
And I hear a lot of people, say with I'll just say protesting, like in this country and around the world, it's like, well, if we just stop, you know what I'm saying? If we stop, as you say, giving, if we stop spending money, if we stop, yeah, sure, that sounds good. But what are we supposed to just stop living our life? Like, you want us to come to a complete stop? And I'm not saying, I know somebody is probably listening like, no, it's not stop spending your money. It's spending your money in Black places. It's like, that. Do you think I don't want to spend my money in Black places?
Right.
But when I just need some freaking toilet paper, because I just went, it ain't no Black toilet paper in the 7-Eleven, and it ain't no Black toilet paper in Target.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? So you got to stop. So it's like it's like really asking us, a person who is really just, as people, we're just, and this shouldn't be blamed like naively in the pursuit of happiness.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And I will say, I feel that fear that I expressed to you, but then I feel all the things that you're saying along with it, right? Is that people shouldn't have to sort of like squash their goals or their lives or keep secrets from, the outside world. Young Black people shouldn't have to avoid the internet at the cost that like they're giving away a part of our culture. And so it really is more a question of like, why is it that there's this incessant need to either control or at least take it exists in this white community more than it is being like, Black people, shut the fuck up. Let's just hide.
Yeah. I was on this panel recently, and they were talking about like Black voices and more specifically Black female voices. And like, so how do we continue to, push these stories and stuff? And I'm like, this is probably like a really idealistic answer, but it's actually like a humankind issue.
Right.
Because like, I don't need to be a kid to watch a kid's story. I don't need to be a man to watch a story about, you know what I'm saying? I don't need to be white to understand white people and their stories. And so you shouldn't have to be a woman to want to see women. You shouldn't
Right.
have to be Black or Spanish or Indian or Asian to want to see those stories. And if you are, you the problem.
Right. Whoa, Zainab's hot, y'all. She mad. She came on
You the problem.
she came on very poised. Her bun is undone now. Her hair is everywhere.
You know, and it's like, I don't know quite how to fix an issue that I feel like starts in like the soul.
Well, I mean, that is the challenge that we're facing now. And it's sort of the frustrating one that I at least feel sometimes in these, there's this instinct now where white people say some crazy shit and we shame them. We tweet at them. We go, how you should know, Mr. Man, that actually this was started by a Black person and shame on you for not knowing that. And it's like, I don't know that that's fixing anything anymore. And that's part of what I mean about like the giving. And maybe it's more of a giving of our own spirit, because the reality is that their souls are so broken in a lot of ways that they're, I think they're fucking.
No, I'm laughing at both of us like, God dang. For us to know and work with so many white people.
I'll tell them to their faces. But no, I think there's such a brokenness in the way that as a mass, their culture moves, that you shaming. It's not like you say that shit and they go, oh shit, my bad. I didn't realize. I've learned something today. And maybe that's a natural human instinct, right? Like we're not always quick to acknowledge our weakness. That's the very animal thing that exists inside of us. But I do genuinely think we've reached the point where we have to stop negotiating with qualities that we know are, they know. They're not dumb. They're fully aware they just don't like us, bro. And you tweeting at them ain't gonna make them cooler, you know?
Let me ask you this though, and this is a little aside. Have you ever seen like a white person make a mistake and then a Black person call them out and you be like, damn, I ain't know that either?
All the time.
Now, what Black person did? What? Oh, you know, I'd have lost my Black card, but the white person just got yelled at.
Yeah, that's crazy. Shame on you, brother. Anywho, yeah, no, it happens all the time, and so it's one of those things. I think we all have a responsibility to just be humans inside of some of this shit. And be honest that, like, if a person corrects you, a person corrects you. It isn't always racial. It isn't always rooted in some, like, indignity to another person's, like, culture. It truly might just be you got some shit wrong. And if you can undo the part of you that goes, like, why is this white man saying this to me, or this Black lady talking to me this way? We might be able to just reach a point where we go, my bad, dog. Truly had no idea. My card stays intact. Everything is as it should be in terms of who I am, because we're a little more tolerant of each other. Let me ask you this last question before we go to break. I'm curious to know, because one of the things that this article sort of addresses is this massive wave of sort of like young Black people, especially, but I think it's Black people of all kinds who sort of are constantly pushing Blackness is not a monolith, right? That there is no singular Black rule.
Experience.
Or experience. It's all the people that are like, why as a Black man do I have to vote for Democrats? The Democrats ain't done shit for me. Like, where do you think they fall in the world of losing Black cards? Is a person who sort of takes the position that, like, yo, I don't want to align with all of these things, suddenly less Black, or is that more complicated as well?
That's definitely more complicated. And I definitely don't. In terms of like the Black card, I think that they're like culturally prevalent things, but not so much political thing. Like if somebody smart. Is like, if somebody is like, well, why? Especially if they word it in question form, you know. then I'm not gonna be like, oh, you ain't vote for Biden, man. You losing your black card. Like, I think that I mean that might be the most idiotic thing
Sure.
to say, and it's actually more insulting because it just hit me thinking about that statement when a white person kind of tells you that you're not black enough.
Well, Biden
Or
did
you're
it.
losing your
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, if you don't vote for me, then you're not black. It's like that's the same as saying the N-word.
Yeah. Pretty much.
You said something in a community that you ain't a part of.
Yeah.
You can't even determine that, But I think that a quote unquote cultural staple is different than a hard conversation, even if it's a conversation of discourse in an attempt to I don't know, find a solution for a group of people. I don't think that a black card plays in.
I think that's a healthy way to approach it. I think it's a dangerous game when we start getting into political conversations and sort of like these grander, existential even conversations. But to your point, if we're talking about like, yo, you don't, do this with your grits. All right, that's a conversation where we can remain silly and casual inside of it and still be healthy communicators on the other side of it.
Yeah. Like, I have the same response if a person is black or white. If somebody is like, they voted for, I don't care what you look like. If today you're like, nah, I'm for a third world war, I'm going to have the same sort of response. That's not a black, or you get what I'm saying? That's not like, I'm not going to be like, oh man, you want him to go to war. You ain't black. I don't care what your gender is, what your ethnic makeup is. I'm going to have the same response.
Yeah. This ain't a racial conversation no more. You a nut. And I would like you to stop behaving the way you're behaving.
But I think that there's certain things that are in that same demo that I named, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, that they experience in a very like white way that I didn't experience. And that would be okay. If they were like shocked that I didn't that would be okay. And if amongst their peers, like if white people sat at a table and were like, you didn't see Seinfeld?
Right.
I would understand that.
Yeah. And I think they do shame each other for that. And maybe to your point, they can start adding cards to this shit. Like, take some cards away. I think this is the grander point that I think I'm getting from all of this. We need to create more hierarchy in the white community. You all have been living sort of at this like this shared white experience without acknowledging anything for too long. I'm trying to see some kings and some queens rise up. I'm trying to see some poppers fall down. Let's start a white world war is what I'm saying.
Listen, I ain't even, I won't be there. I won't tune in. I won't. It's like what they it's just like my neighbor across the street. I don't know what they doing over there.
I don't know.
And I don't care to know.
Nope. That ain't none of my business. All right. We're going to take one more break. We'll be back with more Zainab Johnson. More My Mama Told Me. And we are back.
I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, we're back here with more Zainab Johnson. More My Mama Told Me. We're still talking about the possibility that a black card can be lost, taken away, revoked, as the classic card game suggests. Okay, this is exciting for me because as I was looking through research and trying to unpack the possibility of sort of exploring this conversation with you, one of the things that I found is a running list on, ironically, BuzzFeed of all places, the place where all black people go for their news and information. But BuzzFeed had a list of things that they believe, or at least a Twitter conversation started, that might represent the revocation of someone's black card, the taking away of someone's black card. And I'd just like to run through some of this list with you and see where you fall in terms of, number one, whether or not this would in fact take your black card away. But number two, whether or not you think that these are important enough to be deciding the worth of someone's blackness.
Okay.
All right, the first one, and this was originally this entire sort of like train was started by this dude, Chris Evans, not Captain America on Twitter. But he said, don't revoke my black card, but I've never seen The Wiz.
We got to take his black card.
Oh, he's losing his black card immediately.
Oh, only for that. That's the thing. That's the beauty about the black card. It's like 2 seconds later, you take it. You know what I'm saying? Like you get it back.
Oh, okay.
It's like we got multiple black cards because it's like, Langston, if you took my black card, then I could go and sit down with another black person, and it's like they don't even know you got my black card. It's reinstated. You
right.
know what I'm saying?
That's a nice. You're right.
Yeah.
It's a very nice thing of I can go spend time with a different group of individuals, and they like, this the blackest blackity motherfucker I ever met in my life. And you're like, yeah, I'm back, baby.
Yeah. I got 9 black cards that are being held from me right now.
Right.
But I got 32 black cards over here. So
now a couple of these places I can't go back to. They got my picture on the wall. They say I can't come back in. But everywhere else, I'm good. I'm still black.
I'm good. Exactly. But I don't think that the Wiz, I would never say that the not seeing the Wiz makes you not black. Maybe you don't like musicals.
That's a good response. Because there's,
but now,
yeah.
I'm going to be real honest with you, Langston. I might give a black person a side eye if they like, I don't fuck with the Wiz, but ooh, that Wizard of Oz.
Oh.
That Wizard of Oz though, that's my shit.
That's interesting.
I don't fuck with the Wiz.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna be like,
yeah. Because now you're adding a layer to this shit that didn't exist before.
Hold up. Okay. It's the same motherfucking story. Right. Hold
up. And the songs hit different in the Wiz than they do in the Wizard of Oz. You making a hard choice here. Okay, this was another one that came up. It was not knowing how to play spades. Where do you fall in the spades conversation of it all?
I do understand that. I take spades very seriously, but I wouldn't take somebody's black card or I wouldn't expect to lose my black card because I didn't know how to play spades, because I also think spades is a very regional thing.
I agree.
Because there's card games that people from the South say, I have never heard of them in my life.
Yeah.
I have never heard of these card games in my life.
Yeah.
But that's what they play. They don't play you know?
Yeah, my wife and her grandmother and grandfather played pinochle. And they they go crazy with pinochle. They used to be in tournaments for pinochle. And then one time I was like, hey, bro, just teach me how to play pinochle. And it's the goofiest fucking game because you got to add extra cards to the deck and all the shit. But they're from Maryland. So if in Maryland, some old black household, I go, I don't know how to play pinochle. They'd be like, get your corny ass out of our house. You ain't playing pinochle. What you doing?
I'm happy that you said cards, because when you said pinochle, although I've heard that before, because I'm sure somebody kicked me out for not knowing how to play pinochle, but I don't even know. When you said it, I was like, does that involve dominoes? Like, what?
Are they throwing Sprite cans at each other? What is pinochle?
What are the tools of this game? The instruments that we use for this game.
I love that. Okay, this one hit me. This was very complicated for me. This one came up where someone said, don't revoke my black card, but I've never seen The Wire.
Well, maybe they just couldn't afford HBO. See, it's certain things you have to, you get what I'm saying? Like, but here's a funny story. I was house sitting years ago for this white woman who lives in Venice. Her and her husband, artists, like really, really hippie artists. And I'm house sitting, and as I leave, she's like, Zainab, we left the season 1 DVD set of The Wire, if you want to check it out.
Yeah. What does that mean?
And I felt I don't know.
Yeah.
But the fact that she was white made me not
like
check
that.
it out.
Yeah.
But I swear, if it was a black lady, I would have been like, girl, I'm watching a Wire, but like,
hell yeah.
Bernadette told me to watch The Wire, and oh my God, I watched The Wire, But for some reason, I just felt like it was like the black thing she had in her house.
Yeah, I don't like that.
And, and so I never watched it. But here's the thing, it was funny about some things are so in the zeitgeist at a certain time. I've never I've seen episodes, like independent, some episodes of The Wire. I didn't watch the entire, but that's truly because I was poor.
Sure. And
it's like I'm a kid when The Wire is on. My parents didn't have HBO. Like, that's simply what it was.
But even more to that, like, to me, it's a really weird thing for that to somehow question your black card for a television show, like you said, on HBO, which is, a prime network.
A premium
network that wasn't servicing black people for a really long time, but then additionally is made by a white man. Like, it's not like this motherfucker is like, nobody's like, David Simon is down, dog. That's a motherfucker we rock with. It's just, he made the thing.
But here's the thing. I know who Stringer Bell is. I still, as much as I never seen it, I know the guy. Never seen an episode of Power.
Hey,
but
I saw the pilot, and it wasn't for me, and I moved on, and I don't tell people often, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I keep quiet too. Whenever, there's very few black people that I have interacted with outside of the world of comedy. And one of the worst things, because, they're watching, there's so many spinoffs now. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they see you the morning after they watched the last episode. So it's like, have you seen Power Book? And I'll be like, I don't even say I haven't seen it. Like, I don't say no, I don't watch. I used to say I don't watch it, but I stopped saying that because it gets a certain response. Now I say, I haven't seen it yet.
I'm on my way.
I haven't seen it yet.
That's actually where I'm heading right now. I'm about to go watch it.
It's on my list of things to do. Just not yet. But definitely not never. Not never. Not yet.
I'm trying to see what 50 up to. Come on. Okay, I'm going to hit you with a couple more and then we're going to head out of here. But this one was interesting to me. Hating collard greens, black-eyed peas, baked beans, and yams. They listed all the foods, apparently. But this entire list of foods potentially could revoke your black card. Where do you stand in all of that?
Yeah, you could lose I wouldn't personally take somebody's black card away. I would be wondering, like, what your taste buds is like. Because it's like, those are pretty good tasting food. Like, they different, too. Like, you mentioned sweet stuff and savory. Like, where do you just exist on, like, the scale of, like, food? Like, you like that, forget being black. It's just like, I don't really want to go out to eat with you. Like, that's what that says to me, But I do understand with, like, if you not, that's essentially soul food. And you saying you ain't rocking with all the soul food sides, then it's like, yeah, they gonna take your black card.
Right.
For a while.
That's how I felt. Was like, if I say all four of these things are gross to me, cool, take it away. I don't deserve this shit. But if I'm like, I'm more of a greens and black-eyed peas dude than a yams and, baked beans dude, what the fuck? That's just preferential, man. We all got different taste buds.
Yeah, and then you ain't even really save yourself. You ain't be like, but I love sweet potato pie. You know what I'm saying? You could have came with the positive at the end. You just laid all the sides out there. It's like you don't like the veggies or the starches. Okay.
I'm gonna hit you with one more.
Okay.
And then we are going to get out of here. I want to find a really good one on this list. Oh, this'll do. Not owning a bonnet to protect your hair at night. Does that get your black card taken away from you?
No.
Okay.
No, it doesn't.
All right.
No, it doesn't. Because, Langston, I think you know this. I had a shaved head for 8 years. I ain't had no bonnet, a do-rag, nothing. And let me just tell you, I felt free. I felt free, okay? I felt free. I didn't think about my head when I laid down to go to sleep.
Just scalp the pillow.
I felt free, okay? Every shower, the water was running on the top of my head. I felt free, okay? So, no, and we all have different, the bonnets are very useful and very helpful and protective for a specific hair type. But that goes back to black people not being a monolith, right? Like, we all have different hair types. And a lot of people think, which this is a really ignorant thought, that you have to be a mixed race person to have a particular hair type.
Right.
And it's like, I'm the same as all my 12 other siblings. I got the most coarse hair.
Right.
Of the siblings. My sisters have hair that you would say, oh, are you Ethiopian? Do you get what I'm saying? They're trying to figure it out because people believe that black people have one type of hair if they're not something other than black. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If there's not some sort of exoticism attached to their blackness.
Yeah, no,
I
have a homie who I asked recently, just found out that he hadn't been perming his hair this whole time. He's like an older dude. And so I thought he was still doing like that shit that Diddy and Loon did back in the in that I Need a Girl Part 2 video. You know what I mean? Like they were how they had like the finger wave joints. I was like,
basically finger waves.
This nigga's still doing the finger wave shit. And he was like, nah, I'm just a black man with softer hair than you know, my counterparts. And I don't know where it comes from, but that's just the way it's always been. I was like, oh shit. All right, cool. I'm glad to know you ain't doing this over your sink like we did in high school.
Yeah, it's so interesting too. Like that last one you asked me, it's funny how someone can say if you don't own a bonnet as a black, because really they talking to black women, right? It's like black guys don't own bonnets, but it's like if you don't own a bonnet, then you lose your black card or you're not black. But then a black woman, comedian Monique, told us, "Why you wearing your bonnet? Why I got to see your bonnet when you're?" You know what I'm saying? So there's also this opposing conversation that happens within. That's the reason why the black card is so fun.
Yes. And to your point, if we keep it fun, this is a game worth playing. But if and you said this originally, if we take it seriously, this shit's ass, because it's just a bunch of people yelling at you from different directions, being like, you're not black enough. You ain't black in the right way that I expected. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Damn. I think we did it, Zainab. I think we nailed
Langston.
it. What a wonderful episode. This was great. Could you tell the people at home what you have going on and where they can find you?
First of all, y'all better catch me being a burger on the Bus Down.
Yeah.
On Bus Down on Peacock.
That's
which
right.
is available now. And also you guys can catch me season 2 of Upload premiered on Amazon March 11th. And so check that out. If you haven't watched season 1, check that out. And then social media, most platforms, it's Zainab Johnson. And then TikTok, it is the Zainab Johnson.
TikTok they got you. You got beat.
They got me.
Well, please follow Zainab. Please watch Upload season 2. She's great. And yeah, watch Bust Down. That'd be amazing. Watch Bust Down. She's a burger in it and she kills the role. She screamed in a way, laughed and screamed in a way that I had never heard a sound come out of her voice before. And it truly jarred me in a way that I'll never forget. And as always, you can follow me at Langston Kerman on all platforms. I ain't on TikTok. Don't bother. And last and not least, please, subscribe, review, do all the bullshit you're supposed to do to podcasts. I don't know. I just say this at the end because I'm supposed to. All right. Bye, bitch.
Yeah, subscribe.